Thank you very much, Andy. I think I should actually be thanking you for arranging this event. But I want to just quickly speak about a certain red bus. There was a lot of controversy after the referendum campaign, and people debated very greatly the figure on this bus. Now, I'm not going to do that today. I don't really care whether it was a gross or net figure. The reason that bus advert was so popular is because it expressed one of the main reasons people voted to leave the EU. It's because we want our money to be spent here in Britain helping British people, protecting institutions such as the NHS, which are very important, and not being spent in places such as Poland building railways. They should build their own. And these are the reasons that we voted. It's because of jobs, it's because those are being taken by mass migration. Now, posh people down in London will try to theorise why we voted for Brexit. And they say it's because we wanted English people to make English laws. That is not the main reason we voted for Brexit. So Paul Nuttall went to Stoke, which was the Brexit capital, and he didn't get many votes there because he was talking about an English Parliament. But people didn't feel that an English Parliament would give them jobs. They don't see that an English Parliament is going to cut down migration or that it's going to help the NHS. And so what we need to do is stop this London-centric politics. We need to start thinking about people outside of the M25 and remember that there's a world beyond London. Because
rebuild Parliament in Bedfordshire or the Cheshire Plain.
why not? So the problem is, London is the only region in the whole of England that voted to stay in the EU. The rest of England voted predominantly for Brexit. So London is completely out of step with the rest of the country. And they don't understand the pain that you and I feel. The likes of Theresa May don't know what life is like for the real people. So, for example, my family come from the Welsh valleys where the mines were shut. And I'm not having a go at the Tories here, because Wilson from Labour shut twice as many mines as Thatcher. All parties did this. And then in Scotland the shipyards were shut, and in the north and the Midlands we find that loads of factories were closed down. It's not just the loss of jobs, it's the communities that have been destroyed. Whole villages, whole towns are now derelict and there's high unemployment. So I would like to live in Wales, but there's no jobs there. And basically we are the forgotten people, and that is why we voted for Brexit. People like those in government don't understand what life is like for the ordinary person struggling day to day, hand to mouth, to feed their family and their children, trying to get their kids in school and trying to pay for housing. And in London we have posh boys slapping each other on the back while they line their own pockets. And they don't want the same Brexit as you and I. The problem is not just the Ramonas, it's also the soft Brexiteers. Because what they're worried about, and you even see this in Brexit the movie, what they're concerned about is stopping economic protectionism, so that they can have lower tax on imports and bring ever more goods in here which would be cheaper from China or India. But that would mean even more jobs will be lost here in the Midlands and the North as more factories are shut down. That is not the reason you and I voted for Brexit. The reason we chose Brexit is because we want an end to mass migration, which is on the borders, the banners there which say no open borders. And the thing is, at the moment, people in London are whining about first world problems. They're not talking about what worries you and me. They're talking about things such as whether grown men should be allowed to go in the girls' bathroom. They're talking about whether gender exists. The Tory party has told government departments not to use the word he or she in case they trigger somebody. These people don't live in the real world. We know if you're male or female, it's pretty obvious from an organ downstairs. So what we need is common sense, as that man just said. And we need a party and a government that will speak out about the problems real people feel. And at the moment we have 4.3% unemployment in this country. So just look around and imagine 1 in 20 people here doesn't have a job. That's the situation we face. And at the moment we have ever more unskilled people coming in and there are no actual jobs for them. All they're doing is taking jobs from plumbers, electricians and builders living in this country. And this isn't to say that we have a problem with migration in itself. We actually need more doctors, nurses and engineers, predominantly from Asia and Africa, to come here, but they can't due to the cap on migration and due to the high levels coming from the EU. Basically, we need an Australian system where we only have skilled migrants. And as for what's already been mentioned, the claim that supposedly we're all a bunch of racists. It's the EU that is racist. It basically has something like the former White Australia policy, where it only lets people come in from predominantly white countries without a visa, but if you're from Africa and Asia, you're expected to apply for migration. That is racist. And another reason we must leave the EU is due to their reliance on Saudi oil. France and Germany, unlike us, do not produce their own oil. We have North Sea oil, but they're reliant on imported oil. And that's why we've seen the Barcelona Declaration. That's why we've seen them being soft and allowing fake refugees. And that's why there's ever pressure for multiculturalism and an embracement of Sharia law, the actual written documents. Now, you and I are sick and tired of this political correctness. We're sick and tired of our jobs being undercut, whether in a factory, on a building site, or in an office. We're sick and tired of our work being outsourced to India and China, and we're sick and tired of there being a housing shortage, which is particularly bad for young people who will probably never be able to buy a house. Because if basically the price of houses has gone up about 20 times as much as wages. And I think many people, my parents' age and older, don't even begin to understand this because the parties don't talk about it. Now, what could have happened a year ago is Theresa May could have just repealed the European Communities Act, and we could have left then. Instead, she said that breakfast means breakfast, and we've never heard the end of that. That was just a farce to get your support due to they had a Tory election scandal and they needed to quickly fill those seats. So they gave a sham of supporting Brexit. And they basically agreed to pay a £50 billion bill we never had to. And the reason for this is clear on their own website. All political parties belong to an EU super party. And the Tories belong to the European Conservatives and Reformist Party. The key word there is reform. They don't want to leave the EU. They want to reform it. This group is led by Syed Kamal, MEP, supposedly one of their top Brexiteers. And on the website it says most clearly that they want to stop Brexit. This is on a Tory party website. It says they are calling on all Europeans who believe that the EU can only be a true European Union with Britain as a member. Then it says they are convinced that Brexit can be averted. That is the government's real position. And we saw this happening because on Wednesday the 13th of December 2017, the witch who runs this town and many other people, including members of the Labour Party, pushed forward Amendment 17 of the Brexit bill. 11 MPs rebelled from the Tories, and the Remain majority now in Parliament will be determining whether Brexit goes ahead. It won't be a decision of you and I, the people. How do you feel about this?
Third party.
Well, the banners you have here mention the People's Charter, and 179 years ago across this country, the Charters rose up and they marched on London from places as far as Manchester and the Welsh Valleys to say that we, the people, should have the vote, that our voice will be heard, that we matter. And men died in World War II to protect our freedom, sometimes knowing they would sign up and only have 2 weeks to live. Now, this word populism is a beautiful thing. We keep getting told it's evil. It's a positive thing, democracy. It's that you and I should determine the destiny of our nation. And it's what we've seen happen in Italy. Whereas as for fascism, what that really is not you standing here, it's those who stand in our way, those who try to stop the democratic will of the people, those who try to stop Brexit. So who would those be? What do you think of Gina Miller? Or how about Richard Branson? He said we all got it wrong and need a second go. And then there's the BBC, whose top reporter, Nick Robinson, said he doesn't feel he has to be neutral in reporting on Brexit. And that's your tax money paying for that. There's Nicky Morgan, who's in charge of this place. There's her friend Anna Soubry, who we'll be going to protest against again soon. And then, of course, there's Queen of the Ramonas, Theresa May. Now, you and I are not going to put up with this. We're going to stand for truth and democracy. We're going to fight for justice. And we will win and take our country back from these communists. Now, I just need to ask that people also bear in mind that in the West Midlands on June the 23rd, there will be another rally, probably in Dudley. And I just ask everyone, get off their sofa and come out and join us then. That's Brexit Day, June the 23rd. You can find all the details on the website. Thank you.